Now that The Bad Batch Season 2 is over, it's time to take a look back at everything I thought really stood out in all 16 episodes that made the story great. Here's everything I loved about the second season of the series. In Episode 1, Spoils of War, I love that the audience catches up to the Batch at the very end of an adventure. It's a very George Lucas thing to do. He did the same thing with the original Star Wars film and Indiana Jones. Since he based Star Wars on Flash Gordon, he wanted audiences to feel like they just happened to catch an episode of the serial in theaters, and they didn't have all the context, but they had enough. The Bad Batch Season 2 is a perfect reflection of that. I like Omega's updated model, her new outfit and armor, and just seeing her as a capable member of the crew. I thought she was great in Season 1, but I'm glad to see her quickly growing as a character. The musical theme for the Bad Batch, swelling as they escape, is so good, continuing to make this all feel like an Indiana Jones-style adventure coming to its conclusion. I'm so glad AZ-3 is still around. I was kind of hoping he'd be part of the crew, but I will accept him hanging out at Sid's bar. I love that the Batch's first major mission of the season was robbing Castle Sereno. It's such a cool way to continue exploring the consequences of the Clone Wars. I was glad to see Hunter making sure Omega was coming with them. That was a moment of growth for him in Season 1, learning that he can't protect her all the time. The way this clone trooper is stunned and passes out with his head in the cargo container gave me a good laugh. The stealthy version of the Bad Batch's theme is really fun to listen to. Tech opening the cargo door with the possible but unlikely threat that they could be instantly killed gave me another good laugh. I missed Tech. Moving into Episode 2, Ruins of War, even though I was sad the Bad Batch got delayed so many times, its timing after Andor occasionally worked well in its favor, like when Tech got hit by flying cargo, and I was terrified we were about to have another Nimic-style death on our hands. I really like the character Romar and his conversation with Tech about how Serenians are not separatists by nature, but that's how Tech has been trained to see anyone and everyone that isn't part of the Republic. Seeing him have an open mind and shifting his outlook on someone he would have once considered an enemy was great. Wrecker literally carrying around a tank's cannon, firing it at will, is fantastic. Omega and Deco sharing the same moment as Indiana Jones and his father from The Last Crusade was a great parallel that I enjoyed. The treasure they both wanted for 2 whole episodes isn't worth losing one another over. Omega smiling at her new toy kaleidoscope the same way Wrecker smiles at his new, toy, the tank cannon, is hilarious. In Episode 3, The Solitary Clone, I love the continuing look at how the Empire spreads its influence. First, by showing us the events on Desix, a former separatist world that, understandably, doesn't believe it falls under the jurisdiction of the Empire, but also in subtle ways, like 2 clones discussing the defense recruitment bill leading to the enlistment and conscription of soldiers rather than cloning them. Obviously, I love having Commander Cody back, and his story in this episode was great. I'm glad a clone spoke up about the battle droids in this episode, asking if they received the shutdown order. It's a hand-waving explanation in the end, but it works just fine. I just appreciate that it was acknowledged. The entire Battle of Desix is so well done, exciting, and just downright cool. It feels like a classic Clone Wars episode. The montage after the death of Tawny Ames, the Desix governor, was fantastic. Completely wordless but still communicating so much as Cody watches clones leaving the planet to be replaced by TK troopers. The Republic has turned into something he doesn't recognize both in appearance and philosophy. In Episode 4, Faster, I really like Riot Racing. It's like Mario Kart but in Star Wars. I could see the droid Teo being a polarizing character, but I'm a big fan of Ben Schwartz, so I enjoyed him, and he had a couple laugh-out-loud moments for me, like when he realized his arms and legs were missing. In Episode 5, Entombed, I really like another new droid, Mel. She's like a new kind of gonk droid. I like watching Hunter's jealousy of Phee, but it's a nice touch that Omega expresses her admiration of the pirate by mirroring her, just like she used to mirror Hunter in Season 1. Omega solving the puzzle in the entrance room is just Indiana Jones-style perfection, helped along by the Kiner Brothers score, which is reminiscent of 2 specific themes from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Later on, Hunter nearly falls to his death in a trap similar to the Word of God trap in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Then he accuses Phee of making up this entire adventure as she goes, which is another Indy reference. I love them all. I love just about all of Episode 6, Tribe, as well, with the return of Gungi from the Clone Wars. I like how many elements of an unfinished episode of the Clone Wars that would have featured the Bad Batch on Kashyyyk have been reused. In Episode 7, The Clone Conspiracy, it's cool seeing the Clone Bar 79s again, but I also love how it's used to immediately put us back into that conspiracy mindset, because the last time we saw it was in the conspiracy arc of the Clone Wars in Season 6. I love seeing Senator Tenra Pamlo again. We know she's eventually a member of Rebel Alliance High Command, so it makes sense to see her taking an early stand against the Empire. The return of Chuchi was also a welcome surprise. The entire scene in the Senate is fantastic and relevant to real-world debates held regarding military spending. The atmosphere of the whole episode is great. I love all the cloak and dagger stuff, especially following in the wake of Andor. The reveal that the assassin was a regular clone trooper caught me completely by surprise. In Episode 8, Truth and Consequences, I like that Omega is now meditating after Gungi taught her, and even though it doesn't work the same way for her, she still likes it. I enjoyed the heist on Rampart Star Destroyer quite a bit, especially their getaway of booting up the engines while it was still docked and then launching the escape pods. Anytime Ian McDiarmid returns as Emperor Palpatine, you know it's a good day. In Episode 9, The Crossing, Omega's mining tool thing is a cool design. I could see that being in a video game. The volatile nature of the element Ipsium is a good parallel to Omega's emotional state after Echo left the team, explosive if not handled correctly. In Episode 10, Retrieval, I love the look of trust Omega has for Hunter as she is dropped off of the platform into the mine. At the end, when the batch gets their ship back, I love that Wrecker is saying hello to Gonki and his recovered stuffed animal. I love the opening scene of Episode 11, Metamorphosis, so much. The atmosphere of the first half of the story felt very inspired by the Alien franchise. And it's always great seeing the Republic Commandos again. I love Wrecker's face as Sid haggles with them over their cut of the next mission. He would have happily taken 40 or even 35%, but he keeps looking at Hunter to see what the appropriate reaction should be. In Episode 12, The Outpost, Lieutenant Nolan is awful. I mean that as a compliment, because I love how awful he is. He was written and performed by Crispin Freeman to be perfectly hateable. I love the new Clone Commander character Mayday. This series has done a fantastic job at introducing us to new fan-favorite clones and then cruelly taking them away from us. The scene where Mayday disarms the pressure mine to save Crosshair's life is great, emotional, tense, and even funny. When they learn that they risked their lives for armor, I love Mayday's delivery of the line, "We were good soldiers, we followed orders, and for what?" Such a good and powerful spin on the familiar clone mantra. The death of Lieutenant Nolan was so satisfying. I feel weird cheering for someone's death, but yeah, I did cheer. In Episode 13, Pabu, I really enjoyed the opening scene of Phee buying an ancient wonder and then getting into a shootout, which all felt very inspired by Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The club is even called Club Lao She, which confirms the reference. Lao She is the name of the gangster at the start who meets Indy in Club Obi-Wan. The city of Pabu is just a great design. The episode does a wonderful job at making it feel idyllic. I love Phee explaining the kind of fun, social gatherings the batch can all expect, and then pointing out that Tech will probably hate it all. Tech noting the date and time that Wrecker first claimed that he was full and no longer hungry is great. He gets a lot of funny moments this episode. The opening sequence of Episode 14, Tipping Point, was fantastic. I loved seeing the regs get the focus of this episode. And of course, I have to call out the reappearance of Hauser specifically. Crosshair's message to the batch was a huge fist pump moment for me. I love that he's back on their side, and I'm also heartbroken they only got the vague Plan 88 part of the message without the more personal call to hide Omega. All of the scenes on Pabu simply make my heart swell. It's just nice seeing the batch thriving instead of struggling to survive. Omega's flying lesson is very fun, especially Tech's terrified reaction to it all. Hemlock as a villain is a fantastic replacement and escalation from Rampart. Jimmy Simpson's portrayal of him is perfectly creepy. In Episode 15, The Summit, I love Omega gleefully telling Phee they're going on a covert mission. It's adorable and full of hope, which makes it all the more heartbreaking considering what happens. I love that we get to see Iriadu on screen for the first time, and the mountain base is super cool. I jumped up when I saw Krennic at the Imperial meeting. I genuinely did the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing meme. Everyone slowly looking at Wrecker after announcing that they need to be precise in their mission is one of the best comedy beats of the series. I loved the slow reveal that someone else was attacking the base alongside the batch. The fact that it wound up being Saw Gerrera was perfect because I just knew he was going to ruin everything. I just didn't know how badly. Hunter taking down a V-Wing with a blaster pistol is so awesome. The railcar sequence and Tech's death was incredibly well done. I'm still not over it. It hurt so bad and made me furious at Saw. So many emotions. It's been wild seeing the entire Bad Batch fandom going through the 5 stages of grief online. Sid's betrayal was also very well done, and then I was furious with her. I believed in you, Sid. You could have been better. I loved that it takes several stun shots to take Wrecker down, and later he rips out of his manacles with ease like he was clearly just waiting for the right moment. The shot of Hemlock's shuttle escaping with Omega as Hunter helplessly watches, coupled with Kiner's score, again, it's so sad, but it's so well done too. The creepy cloning room in Mount Tantus gave me the heebie-jeebies, but I am really excited at the prospect of Omega and Crosshair together next season. I think they'll make for a fun dynamic in a tense situation. And that's everything I loved about The Bad Batch Season 2. Let me know your favorite moments or details in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.